Some of you are not frustrated the way you are frustrated because the enemy wants to frustrate you. One of the reasons why you are frustrated so that you can neglect what God has put in you before the beginning of time. Because if you spend your time worrying about what's not gonna go right, you will never have time to notice who you are in God. What intimidates the enemy is not what you have, but what intimidates the enemy is who you are. It is realizing who you are that God will also bring deliverance in the lives of those who are connected to you. There are people that God will bring in this world who will be a key to other people breakthroughs. If Joseph does not go to Egypt and interpret a dream, his family was going to die because of hunger. So if Joseph does not go through the pit, from the pit to be accused, from being accused to prison, Joseph would never find himself next to the throne. It is also through the same Joseph that the family received deliverance. Notice the one who went through all these things is the one who God uses to bring rest. But if he doesn't go through it, the whole family is going to die because of hunger. But I want you to understand what God has said concerning Abraham was also the same thing, you know. So here we're talking about why the enemy gets you frustrated. You know, it's not just because of what you have, it's of who you are and who's gonna be delivered by you. Interpreters, internal truths, seers speak God's mind. In the ministry of a seer, 3 things remember. 1, sobriety. Number 2, maturity. If you want to deal with somebody mature, deal with the seer. You know, they know. See, the seers know that not everything I see I can talk about. Sometimes a vision has to mature itself. They don't make premature announcement. Yes, people miss things not because they are misses, because they have not reached that level of maturity in the office that required to fully function in the office. Wisdom in this context is the ability to know what to say, when to say it, how to say it, and who to say it to. Sometimes God speaks to you concerning a person, but it takes wisdom to you to know I can talk to him this. You know, you need to understand unless you will not function the way that you are supposed to function. Yeah. See, every person cannot see beyond of how his spirit has been wired. What limits you? Not your inability to receive, but what limits you is how your spirit is wired. We all see based on how we are wired. You know? Yes. Have a glass of water. Have a glass of water. What do you see? You know? What do you see? I see water. Some will say, I see a glass. Other will say, I see water. A glass, as a matter of fact, a glass is half full, half water. You know? Another one will say, I see glass. You know? The glass is half empty. You know? See, we are all seeing the same thing, but we are interpreting what we are seeing differently. Why? Because we are wired differently. So even when it comes to seeing in the realm of the spirit, that's why we always interpretation, the most important thing when it comes to hearing God. That's why people will say, you know, who prophesies, you know, then they prophesy, you know. It's how you're wired. Yes. Some people out of the place that they are in, they are not called to see. You know, it is possible to be a seer that function with the ears, not sight. But it's First Chronicles chapter 29. I'm gonna read it for you. Yes. Now the acts of David the king, first and last, behold, they are written in the book of Samuel the seer, and in the book of Nathan the prophet. So the act of, you know, David getting anointed in this very book that the Bible is talking about, and in the book of Nathan the prophet, you know, the Bible tells us. Now somebody will say we don't have the book of Nathan. The Acts of David was recorded and as a Nathan as a prophet, Samuel as a seer, you know. So in the book of God the seer, you know. So the Bible tells us Samuel is a seer, Nathan is a prophet, God is a seer. A prophet hears the truth, a seer sees the truth. One hear to see, and the other sees to hear. A seer is a prophet who foundational rolling in the prophetic is that of sight. Seers throughout all the Bible are seen or known as clarifiers of eternal truth, interpreters of eternal truth. Seers speaks God's mind. In the ministry of a seer, there's these three things that we spoke about them: sobriety, maturity, you know. Yes. If you want to deal with mature people, deal with seers. You know, they're much more mature than you can imagine. Yes. Seer is not a reader. You know, a reader of energy, like people mix this with each other. No, that's something and that's something else. You know, we're not like dishing anybody. There's people who are good readers, you know. But when you talk about seers is a big deal. to deal with. You know, a big deal. Quite a big deal.